exciting show today. I'm just going to jump right in. Sitting here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center with me right now is local singer-songwriter Nate Cozzolino. Thank you so much for being here today, Nate.
Thank you, Ava.
He is a man on the scene. You've probably seen him around performing locally. He also hosts an artist showcase called Madcap Mondays every week. So Nate, talk to me a little bit about how you got this showcase started, sort of how you ended up doing this weekly showcase for Providence musicians
Sure.
and performers.
So it was back 3.5 years ago, and I was hanging about the Spot Underground, which used to be on Richmond Street down there.
Right.
And the Monday night they had going kind of ended abruptly, and people were kind enough to be like, hey, maybe Nate can do a job with this. So I kind of just assembled the creative talent that was milling about.
Right.
And we started doing this. And it's been a really magical ride since then.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, obviously, there's such a great artistic community here in Providence. So
Yes.
anywhere where you can have just an open venue to let people sort of perform. And it's not just musicians that are able to sort of get up on the stage over there.
Yes, it's almost everything.
That's really cool.
Spoken
Never know what
word,
to expect.
comedy, and many things which don't fit into a neat category, that are
Right.
just a creative expression.
Right. Nice to have an open sort of venue, you know, like I said. So you yourself as a performer and musician, I want to talk a little bit about your background and sort of how
Sure.
you made it here. I noticed in your bio you mentioned that you spent a lot of time performing in Japan. So
Yeah.
are you from here originally, or did you just sort of make your way here to Providence?
So I was born in Kentucky, then moved to Boston at around age 9. My first Providence experience was coming to study at RISD for 2 consecutive summers when I was in high school. They have a summer residential program, and I went there and studied illustration. That was 93, 94. Fell in love with the city, but didn't have much cause to come back until about 6 years ago when I was living in Japan. And Fukushima, the earthquake happened, and I lost no time in relocating
Yeah.
after that. And my sister happened to be living here in Rhode Island, so I came, and that's why I'm here.
Wow. That's a crazy story.
It is. And it was also cool coming back 20 years after my initial exposure, because
Yeah.
Providence has grown so much in that time. So it was like Providence next level that I got.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
It's like this just so happens to be a really sort of buzzing, like, musical town,
Yes.
artistic town. So it seemed like a good place for you.
Yeah.
And you're definitely making, you know, a name for yourself. Definitely, you were nominated and won a couple of, you know, prestigious titles in the Motif Awards, Best Singer-Songwriter, Americana Male Vocalist. So you're definitely, you know, making a name for yourself. What kind of things do you do for your own artistry and performing, as opposed to just being like the host and the guide for these other things?
I really enjoy immersing myself in the creative process, which I think for a lot of us is a really vague, nebulous kind of zone. You know, when you just wake up from a dream and you're still half out of it, when you're spacing out. I have a thing I do with my friends called a 2-week warning. I often hear people say things unwittingly, which I think would make great song lyrics, but I can't just steal them outright.
Yeah.
I give them 2 weeks to use it in
Gotta
their own
give it
song.
a buffer a little bit, yeah.
And if they don't, I'll take it and not pay them a cent.
That is hilarious. Yeah, so if another musician says something really kind of profound or witty, you're like, you're going to give them a chance to write it in their own song.
And hopefully they do. And I've had friends, like my friend Jim Daly, who's done that, totally taken my warning and made a wonderful song out of that.
That is
So,
great. Do you have like a little notebook or something, or do you jot things down?
On my phone, I've got a
Yeah.
super long list of potential lyrics
I love
waiting
it.
to be incorporated into
Yeah,
things.
so when it comes time, you can have a little.
Yeah.
What is kind of the biggest inspiration for your songwriting, or does it vary a lot?
I think, not to get too deep.
No,
but
get deep, get deep.
As humans, I think one thing that unites us, regardless of culture, anything, is the desire to go home, whatever home is, whether it's back in your mama's belly or your grandma's cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
People feel kind of like strangers in this world and long for that primal source.
Yeah.
So I think my songs deal a lot with that kind of loneliness and wish to return to the happy fuzzy place.
So, do you think that is why the kind of Americana or blues or that sort of like homegrown vibe is sort of your thing, or would you even categorize yourself as that musically?
No, labels are always hard.
Yeah.
So I don't begrudge the fact that there's an Americana category. I think it just is a general blanket term for a certain sound that has a lot of variation to it.
Yeah.
As far as whether or not my lyrical content stems from that, yes and no.
I guess it doesn't have to, right? I mean.
Yeah, it does and it doesn't. And
yeah.
I think in some ways, like I mentioned being from Kentucky.
Yeah.
And grew up deep in the woods. There's definitely this subconscious kind of image of the Garden of Eden that we're all going back to.
Yeah.
We're trying to some extent, but yeah.
So, as somebody who really has their finger on the pulse of what's happening in this town, you know, musically, artistically, what can you say about the music vibe that's here in Providence that you see kind of on a weekly basis?
I'll make a bold prediction.
Okay.
I think Providence is the next it city. It was Austin for a while.
Yeah.
Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
Have had their times. I think Providence is on the verge right now of breaking through that. There's a real concentration and dedication that I see in the scene that I don't find other places. When I go to play in Boston or New York, which is not very often because I like it here, but
and you're performing a lot around here, and you're very busy, so.
So as much as I enjoy branching out into other locales, I instantly miss the scene here.
Yeah.
For several reasons. One is the super inclusive, accepting, supportive atmosphere that we have. The other is the non-attachment to genres. I think in other cities there's more, well, you play at this club, it'll be this kind of sound.
Right.
Here, when I put shows together, the more eclectic the better.
Yeah.
Are the bands motivated, excited, vital? If so, then I don't mind putting classical next to heavy metal.
Right.
Because we have such a good crowd that is able to appreciate that kind of variation. That
Yeah.
I think is wonderful.
And I think you're right. There are definitely some areas in this country that really have a sort of connection, like this city, this genre. You know, Atlanta is hip hop or whatever. But I kind of feel the same way about Providence. I'm seeing great hip hop artists, great punk bands, great metal bands, great singer-songwriters. I mean, and they're all here. They're all coming from the same area, from the same influence.
Yep.
It's really cool.
We run the gamut, and here's a weird theory about that. I think it's kind of the upside to our kind of reputation as being a corrupt town. It's a town that's about connections.
Yeah.
So in the negative sense, you know, mafia politics. In the positive sense, the scene is kind of self-regulating in that people put other people on shows who they feel are doing things in a similar way as far as attitude, motivation, energy.
Right.
And not about genre.
Yeah.
So you could say we're biased, but in a really positive way, to really embody that free-spirited, supportive, wild creativity.
So how often does somebody come up on stage that maybe you've never heard of before that kind of signed up and you're like, wow?
All the time.
Is it really,
Almost
like,
every
weekly?
week.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I feel so privileged to be able to give these people a platform.
Yeah.
Because I've been given a platform, and we're always paying it back.
Yeah,
Always.
for sure.
There have been several bands that have formed at Madcap that are now tearing it up on the scene.
Oh, that's so cool.
Like my friends in How's About Charlie,
Uh-huh.
formerly the Fates, my friends in Nobody's Boy Scout, and more. And it's hard to to overstate how cool that is.
That is really awesome. So let's talk a little bit more about your own, music and performing. A lot of people know you as Nate Cozzolino and the Lost Arts, and
Yes.
and it's cool because you describe it more as a music collective and not a band, which I kind of understand as
Yeah.
a musician myself. But kind of explain what you mean by that.
Well, I've had not an easy time in maintaining a steady lineup.
Of band members.
Band members.
Yeah.
You know, it's like dating several people at the same time. Schedules.
Yes, and relationships and the
Relationships,
dynamics between
jobs.
everyone.
So at some point, I decided that instead of fighting that and being annoyed by it,
Right.
to go with the flow and kind of embrace the ambiguity and include as many people as possible without being attached to that concretized kind of definition.
Yeah.
So that's still the case, maybe even more so. And I see it more and more as a plus.
Right.
It's really a way to network, to collaborate in a really meaningful way with a lot of people.
Yeah, and you can kind of change it up. I mean, if you have a gig coming up that is kind of specialized in some kind of way, you can pick and choose the
That
musicians.
cat will kill that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is the guy or the girl that I need for this.
Sure.
So how often are you performing as, the Lost Arts and as opposed to just yourself as a solo musician?
That's a good question, and I'm kind of bratty in that I like to blur the lines.
Sure.
Like when I perform solo, I'm often like, I'm Nate Cozzolino on the Lost Arts, because that's what I get to do.
Right.
It's my silly project. I decide the rules.
I can call myself this if I want to.
Exactly.
Right.
So as you can hear, this is my I perform 6 nights a week voice.
Yeah.
But
You have some tea or something?
exactly,
Yeah.
ginger does wonders.
Yes.
But it's always a pleasure to be able to reinvent myself nightly
Yeah.
and call it what I feel like calling it. And that's kind of the magic of music and art.
It definitely is. So you do have a show coming up at Harmony Lodge. Is this Saturday?
Yes.
What are we going to see? Band members? Just you?
I think it's going to
What's
be
the vibe?
this will be the only Lost Art.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah.
You never know, but I think it's me solo, and it's a wonderful venue, a really cool atmosphere out there in Harmony, Rhode Island. I love the name.
Harmony. I know. It's so perfect and beautiful.
So I'll play a lot of originals, some covers. I really enjoy doing both, and again think that the distinction between a cover artist and original artist is overplayed at times. For example, in the Middle Ages, the troubadours, who were the wandering minstrels of the time, would be armed with mostly covers. You've got to play the classics of the time.
Right.
But then, your little pieces mixed in.
Yeah.
And your takes on classics. And that's you as an artist, which I think is a pretty cool concept.
I think when I read some things about you
Mm.
as a performer and as an artist, there is mention to how you perform covers, and I think, as you said, there is something to be said about someone who interprets someone else's song in
Yeah.
their own way, and that is artistry just the same as if you were a songwriter. So I think that if you're obviously doing something cool with these covers that you choose to do, because people are noticing, it was something that people were talking about.
That was a really big thing when I came to Rhode Island this time. I'd been in Japan for a long time,
Yeah.
and although the Japanese had been very supportive in a general sense, not being super familiar with all the songs and not usually speaking English fluently, some of the nuances of my takes on songs were lost. When I came to Rhode Island, people started saying like, wow, you really did that song today? What was that? And it was really, really nourishing
Yeah.
to feel that, if you're a cook, you want people to like your soup.
Exactly. So you're not just holding this guitar as a prop. You're actually going to perform for us.
True story.
Which is great. So what are you going to perform? What's the song about?
I woke up and I thought about it and landed on this one because being honored to be here on this platform, which really represents us in such a cool way, I had to go with my top Providence, Rhode Island anthem for the music scene. I wrote this back at the Spot Underground, which I mentioned earlier, and it really kind of encapsulates my love for what's going on in this town and the state.
Perfect. What's it called?
Notes from the Edge Times.
Nate Cozzolino, and the Lost Arts. They're all here. They're going to perform. Let me get out of your way.
In and out, fast and slow. In we come, and down we go. Here we are, surrounded by the stars of the underground collective. Patterns in the air when we exhale, the latest retrospective. 15 minutes pass like nothing, if they even come at all. And yet we hustle on regardless of the writing on the wall. Legions ride me home, these are my notes from the edge times. And I don't care if they survive the falling out of season or the awakening of the tides, and I sing back and forth and side to side as we bridge this great divide. Now, well, I found the right spot to enjoy the dance of the tribes of Providence. It's been oh so providential, we've been grooving ever since. Well, I pinch this off a pinch back, he can pinch one off of me. And we can burn one down together and have a laugh at our originality, because now these are my notes from the edge times. The words are flying off the page. If there's a meaning, you're gonna have to be the ones to find it. We're just the jokers on the stage. Ooh, and I say, these are my notes from the edge times. Now funny how tomorrow never knows who will walk beside this thinly veiled and blushing bride, who will paint this garden as she grows, as she grows, as she grows. Can I get redemption for Rhodey? For the bottles at our feet, or the conversations in our souls? Can I get redemption for Rhodey? Now, well, how about some hope for this island of rose? Yeah, how about some hope for this on my island, my baby girl island, on my island of rose.
Yay! Oh my God, Nate, that was awesome. I love the raspy voice. Oh, I love that. That's good that you
I'm glad it's good
worked
for
so much.
something.
Yeah, exactly. Nate, that was amazing. Thank you so
Thank you
much
so
for
much,
stopping
Ava.
by.
Great
You
to
can
be
check
here.
Nate Cozzolino out this Saturday at the Harmony Lodge and every Monday night at Madcap Mondays. Thank you again, and please stick around. I'm going to take a quick little pause to get ready for my next guest, and we'll be right back.